Let's dive into Fallout 76 and reveal the 50 must-know tips for beginners that I wish I knew sooner. Fallout 76 is a game that can be incredibly intimidating, especially for new players. With so much content to explore and master, it's easy to get lost in the vast world of Appalachia. But today, I'm going to share with you 50 tips that can make all the difference in your gameplay experience. Let's get started with tip number 1. If you're out in the wasteland long enough, you're going to develop mutations from all the radiation exposure. And these mutations provide powerful buffs that enhance abilities like jump height, speed, and damage output. Radaway will cure them one at a time unless you have Starch Genes level 2 equipped. There are 19 different mutations, and you can have all of them at once except Herbivore and Carnivore. Whichever one of those you get first will block the other. And I've got a great tip for herbivores who want to level up faster. Cranberry Relish gives a 10% boost in XP for an hour. If you have the Herbivore mutation, that doubles to 20%, which can be bumped up even more with the Strange in Numbers perk card, so you get a total of 25% bonus XP for an hour. And you only need water, cranberries, gourds, and sugar. Whether you're an herbivore or carnivore, another way to boost your XP is to be very well rested. And all you need is a lunchbox. Pop one open and you and anyone nearby get a 25% XP boost for an hour. You can stack 4 of them for a 100% boost. If you've got gold, go to Foundation and visit Samuel or Crater to see Mortimer, and you can buy as many lunchboxes as you want. And while we're talking about gold, this next piece of info is a game changer.
Hey there, friend.
I'm sure you know by now that you can exchange treasury notes for gold bullion, but there's another way to get gold too. Just go to the Wayward, head upstairs, and you'll find a man named Smiley. You can buy up to 300 gold bullion from Smiley each week. His inventory resets every Monday, but you have to complete the main questline first. When it comes to spending your gold, this next secret is going to save you a ton. Each week, you can buy rare weapons, armor, and camp items at a discount. You just have to be on the lookout for Minerva, her Brahmin Minos, and security guard Tommy Tentoes. Minerva has a photographic memory, so she copies rare plans and sells the knockoffs at 25% off. Speaking of plans, for this next tip, you're going to want to pay close attention. If you want to load up on scrap, ammo, and plans, use treasure maps, but stock up on maps first. You can usually find them for under 10 caps each at player vendors. Then when you find the treasure, you can just keep digging until you're out of maps. It's a great way to get power armor plans, especially in the Mire and Cranberry Bog. Just don't forget to equip the Scrapper perk card to get the most scrap from the weapons and armor. When it comes to scrap, it took me far too long to figure this one out. There are 3 types of junk items you should think before scrapping. First is the Wendigo Colossus vocal sack. It's used to make liquid courage, which really helps when fighting Earl. The second is hardened mass. It scraps into ultracite, but you'll also need it to craft stable flux. The third is insect parts. You can save them to quickly complete the daily challenge Stings and Things for a 25% chance of a possum badge if you've completed the Order of the Tadpole. Here's another gem you don't want to miss. There are only 5 types of scrap you should hoard: screws, gears, springs, ultracite, and black titanium. Keep all that you can find of each, but there are 3 types that you should sell: gold, silver, and cork. Only keep 50 of each. Then keep between 100 and 200 of everything else and use the excess for crafting. But don't bother bulking anything you plan to keep, because bulking doesn't save any space. On that note, here's a pro tip for weight management. When you hit level 50, make sure you craft a new small backpack. The level 50 small backpack will give you an extra 30 units of weight, so you can stay supplied for whatever the wasteland has waiting. And if you prefer to wear power armor, here's an under-the-radar trick that most miss. Individual power armor pieces weigh a ton, but when you put them on a chassis, the chassis will still only weigh 10 pounds. And you can name the chassis so you'll know exactly what's on it. Speaking of power armor, let me share a trick that saved me so much time. By far, the fastest way to get fusion cores in the wasteland is by crafting Gatling laser guns. Go to the White Spring Mall, and the Brotherhood of Steel vendor will sell you the plan. Then just craft level 25 guns. Each one will come with a fully charged fusion core. This next secret took me by surprise. If you want something that's not currently in the Atomic Shop, you can still get it by submitting a claim to Bethesda support. As long as you have the atoms, and the item you want is in the drop-down menu, support will add it to your account usually within 24 hours. Here's another thing I wish I learned sooner. You can be even more special for 30 minutes by using these 8 items in your camp. Pump some iron with the weight bench to increase your strength. Examine radiation with the glove box to improve your perception. Go for a ride on the bicycle to enhance your endurance. Dispense some perfume to elevate your charisma. Bet on some ponies at the Kentucky Derby to boost your intelligence. Train on the punching bag to improve your agility. Get your fortune read at the teller machine to increase your luck. And then bowl a few frames on the arcade machine to get an extra boost of luck and perception. Ever wonder how to manage multiple camps? You can have up to 10 camps in Appalachia, but only one active at a time. Switching between them is super easy. Just select the one you want to activate from the list in the top left corner of your map. You can change the icons and names of each of your camps, but the names won't be visible to other players. If you want others to visit your camp, make sure you set it to visible so it shows up on their map. If a player's camp has the green cap icon, it means they have a vendor. You can hover over it to see what kind of items they have for sale. The red radiation symbol means they have a shelter, and the orange pumpkin means they have the Halloween candy dish for spooky scorch season. As for items to have in your camp, here's another secret that's easy to overlook. Once you finish the main storyline, you'll be able to go to Crater and buy things with gold from a Mr. Handy named Mortimer. And one item you really should get is the military cryo freezer. It'll let you freeze up to 50 meals and drinks, so they never spoil. But in order for the freezer to work, the camp it's in has to be active. So if you're ever on a server where your camp can't be placed, either server hop or activate another camp that has a freezer. On the topic of camps, you might not know this, but the Communist Collectron is really handy to have around. There are 2 modes for this guy. The Proletariat mode will have him scavenging for medical supplies, food, and water. This really comes in handy if you're an herbivore, because he regularly finds meals that'll give you a buff. The Revolutionary mode will send him scavenging for weapons, grenades, and blood packs. When it comes to decorating your camp, you won't believe how useful this next one is. This plant gives off an awesome orange misty glow that looks really cool in spooky camps. You gather it during the Project Paradise event at Arctos Pharma, but there's a trick to keeping it. When the collection timer is up, there are 15 seconds given for last call. Everything you collect after that you'll keep, or you can leave before the event ends to keep it all. You'll thank me for this next one. If you want Blue Ridge Caravan items, go to Big Bend Tunnel East and talk to Venny. He's got a few daily quests you can do only once, where you'll get to know the members of the Blue Ridge Caravan and walk away with unique camp items and outfits. Then he'll let you do a repeatable event called Riding Shotgun. It's a quick and easy event, and you'll be rewarded with more Blue Ridge Caravan items and pepperoni rolls that'll give you a carry weight buff. Speaking of the Blue Ridge Caravan, did you know one of the best weapons in the game is a reward drop from the public event Beasts of Burden? At the event, Vinny Costa's nephew Luca has gotten himself in a pickle. If you can help him, you might walk away with a Holy Fire. It's a vampire flamer with a faster attack speed that breaks slower. When it comes to weapons, did you know that the yellow box Enclave Plasma mods are worth a lot of caps? The most sought after are the Aligned Barrel mods, either Auto, Sniper, or Flamer, Forceful Stock, Reflex Sight, and Severe Beta Wave Tuner. But no matter what weapon you use as your primary, one weapon you should always carry on you is the Endangerall Syringer. You already know the Syringer plan, and if you scrap enough of them, you'll learn the Endangerall mod. This little pipe gun will reduce a target's damage resistance by 25% for 2 minutes. So tag a boss with it, and then switch to your primary weapon to take them down really quickly. Next up is a tactic I didn't discover until much later. You're going to scrap most of the weapons you come across in the wasteland, but be careful not to scrap one of the rarest weapons in the game, a pink, yellow, or indigo baseball bat. I've had the most luck getting them from eviction notice. Those super mutants seem to really like brightly colored baseball bats. And speaking of scrapping things, you'll want to remember this next secret for sure. Before you scrap perk cards, you should know the animated ones are kind of rare. Every perk pack you open includes one animated card. These cards don't do anything special, but they're really fun to collect. And when it comes to fun, get ready for a tip that'll make a huge difference. There are a lot of really fun outfits in the game, but underneath your outfit and your armor, you should be wearing Under Armor. There are lots of different types of Under Armor to choose from, and each one can be upgraded with one of 4 special linings. Shielded is the best. But as careful as you are in the wasteland, you still may end up getting a disease. So for the next secret, you'll want to visit the White Spring Resort and take a little stroll to the gazebo. The little sulfur water fountain there will quench your thirst, and if you have any diseases, it'll cure those too. And speaking of special locations in Appalachia, Let's dive into another hidden feature of Fallout 76. When you pick up an item in the wasteland, that item won't respawn until 250 other items are picked up. But if you go to Summersville, the first house in town is filled to the brim with books. Pick it clean and you'll walk away with 344 items, including tons and tons of books that will scrap into cloth. On that note, this next strategy is a total game changer. Once you have a solid stockpile of scrap, you'll never have to worry about caps again, because you can easily make 1,400 caps every 20 hours by crafting marine tactical helmets. It only requires 1 glass, 1 plastic, and 3 rubber. With charisma of at least 13 and hard bargain, you'll get 31 caps for each. If you're running low on plastic or rubber, just go to Ohio River Adventures and grab the life preservers. Here's a shortcut that not everyone knows about. A group of raiders from Crater were sent to Ohio River Adventures to establish an outpost. To increase your reputation with the raiders, drop by and give Mirelurk meat to Black Eye once a day. Sometimes she'll give you things in return like cooked food, ammo, and weapons. Another thing you need to know is if you ever see a super mutant walking with a Brahmin, don't worry, he won't eat you. Graham is the nicest super mutant in the wasteland, and he and his Brahmin Charlie are just looking to trade. He's got rare camp decorating items too. Graham and Charlie are always on the move, so if you see them, stop and see what they've got. If you've got Fallout First, you can easily find them in a private world. Just go to the Monongah power plant as soon as the server is created. Graham and Charlie always start there. And while we're talking about rare encounters, I've got a pro level trick coming up next. Always keep an eye out for this bot and his Brahmin because they're usually selling rare clothing and camp items. If you go to the Charleston train station, cross the bridge, and then turn back, you might find the responder bot over next to the water. Lastly, here's one more secret I wish I'd known from day one. If you ever come across a lone albino radstag, resist your urge to blow it up, because not all creatures in the wasteland are out to kill you. In fact, the observant radstag is super chill, and it'll lead you to a tree stump full of loot. Were these tips helpful? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching!